welcome back to Low Country Spotlight. Our next guest, who's going to close out the show for us with a huge bang, is none other than Christy Dominiak. She is the author of The Shaken Snow Globe, Finding Happiness Beyond My White Picket Fence. We're so happy that you could join us today on Low Country Spotlight. Welcome.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me.
You know, when I learned that you were coming on the show and I heard the title of your book, I immediately started thinking about a snow globe. And the fact that, you know, when you have it sitting on your counter, it's so nice and perfect and it's so beautiful and you just want to admire it. But then when you pick it up and you start to shake it and, you know, the snowflakes are everywhere, or the sand or whatever's in it is everywhere, and it's seemingly chaotic. Is that a part of what gave you the courage to write this book?
It is actually that exact symbolism there, where everything looks so picture perfect on the outside, but then the inside, you know, chaos and corruption and just a frustration.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about your story.
Well, it started in kind of that a little snow globe world, you know, striving for the perfect life that you see in all fairy tales, and what you're striving for, the pursuit of happiness in the world. And that's what happened. Something came by and shook me to my core of who I thought I was, and it wasn't who I thought I was, and it shifted my whole focus on what was important in life and where we should be going with our life.
Why do you think that we always strive for the picture perfect and the imagery of perfection, of the fact that, you know, everything is in its place and everything is lined up and, you know, every I is dotted and every T crossed? Why are we so consumed with that, you think?
I think we're kind of consumed with perfection because it's what we're not. Humans aren't perfect.
And say it again.
I know, humans aren't perfect, but we don't usually stick with that. We look at everything around us, what's on TV, what we read, what the movies say, and we're all striving to be something we're not. It's all these external achievements that tell us that will make us happy. In reality, that just isn't true. You can keep searching for the next thing and really never get there.
You know, sometimes, I mean, I find myself looking at someone else, looking at someone else's family, looking at someone else's life, God, looking at someone else's children and thinking, you know, what have I done wrong? You know, how have I missed the boat? Why can't I be like them? Is it fair to say that, you know, people may have looked at you and thought that, and not really because they're looking at the snow globe when it's sitting perfectly still?
Right, and I think that was the goal of telling my story. It was from a different perspective of, most people don't tell the story of where, I call it shedding all my icky, like putting myself out there. And the goal of the book was to make no one really look bad but me, to show that true transformation is possible when you looked at things like unconditional love of the people around you, and that we have all the things that can make us happy. We just sometimes have a hard time receiving that because we're stuck on our imperfections and what we're not doing right.
Now, we want to encourage all of our viewers to go and read the book, but give us a little bit more about your journey and your transformation. Tell us a little bit about that chaotic moment that shook you.
Well, I think it started from a sexual assault when I was younger. And I was the type of kid who kind of followed the rules and did everything the right way and followed a path. And I think I got to a point in my life where I wasn't happy, and I looked around and everything looked picture perfect like that snow globe, but there was this shame within me. How can I not be happy with all this great stuff in my life? And it really stemmed from an assault that I had dealt with on the outside, but I'd never dealt with the feelings of what that did, of that sense of betrayal. And it really made me feel that I couldn't trust people to be loved. So the story is somewhat about peeling back the layers of striving for that perfect life that isn't really what's going to make you happy. It's discovering your true self, faults and all, and when you do, it changes you, and you want to share that with the world because you're not looking for the exterior elements to define who you are.
And as you said, you know, you had this picture perfect world in terms of, you know, your family, your career, your children, everything that someone on the outside looking in would say, I want that. I want to do what she's doing. But little did people know that you weren't obviously fulfilled inside because of some of the things that you had experienced.
Right. I had a fabulous husband that I just couldn't receive. I picked him apart and took negatives, so I didn't have to focus on the positives of him loving me for as I am, which is flaws and all. And so I kept looking for things outside myself to satisfy that when it was within me the whole time. And that's kind of the moral of the story.
What steps did you take? You said peel back the layers. What does that mean?
It means first you have to crash and burn.
Okay.
You first, wake up one day and you realize you're not who you thought you were.
Okay.
And for me, that was the bottom. And I said, okay, I need to try to save the marriage that I was ready to walk away from and was self-sabotaging, basically. And through marriage counseling and then PTSD therapy, ironically, I had confronted my perpetrator and did all the things on the outside that you're supposed to do, but I hadn't really done any of the internal work, which is allow yourself to feel the pain, the suffering, the betrayal.
Yeah.
And PTSD therapy really kind of cracked open my egg for me to see something deeper within myself and kind of unite that logical head person that I was with the heart and find that balance.
You know, a lot of times, well, I'm not going to say a lot of times, I'm going to talk about myself. Because I think I'm Superwoman, you know, I'm so independent, I've done all these things, I mean, with God's help, of course. But we think that we can figure it out ourselves. We think we can fix ourselves. We think we can cure ourselves of anything. And obviously, it's not the case. You talked about seeking therapy and things of that nature. Talk to us a little bit about the importance of being able to receive help from those people who have that expertise.
I think when you are given a life where you're a doer and you're trying to really always give of yourself to other people and help, it's very hard to sit back and just receive.
Yeah.
Especially when it's something you feel like you haven't earned or you don't deserve.
Yeah.
And I think that was the case with me. During the assault, I kind of did nothing. I didn't stop it. I didn't run from it. I just kind of froze.
Yeah.
So it kind of froze me my whole life from feeling like I could do anything. So you don't seek help because you feel like my identity was in the doing, not just in the being. So the book really talks about from going from a person of completely seeking all that achievement and approval from the outside world to being calmer and stiller and realizing that the world will lead you if you ask for help.
Yeah. Okay, well, tell us about from where you were back then to where you are now, and this whole new level of confidence and restoration that has occurred in your life. Tell us about that.
I think it's about removing masks. It's about realizing that you're enough, just how you are, faults and all, and embracing that new person. In fact, I'm involved with a nonprofit called Bliss Spiritual Co-op, and it's all about people finding their unique bliss, which I think when you find your own happiness within, I call it finding your happy, because I feel like it's a state of being. It's not a happiness that comes and goes, but it becomes who you are. That you're very tolerant and non-judgmental of other people, and you want them to feel that same internal peace. So I think instead of searching externally, I'm learning to just embrace my authenticity, flaws and all, which is hard to do. It's hard for people to admit. But when you do, you realize we're all that way. We're all human, and we're not supposed to have all the answers. That's why we're giving each other.
Yeah. Exactly, because if we didn't need each other, we wouldn't have each other.
Right.
Okay. So. Well, thank you, Christy. We're out of time, girl.
Well,
and we didn't even get to talk about your fancy boots.
I know. It's kind of my signature. Part of the transformation too. So.
Oh gosh, thank you so much for coming on Low Country Spotlight. We will have all of her information on our Facebook page, on our website. We will see you next week for more Low Country Spotlight.